Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Iman Flow or Changel el Catracho titled ENAMORADO. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on the screen. We also have lyrics. My Spanish is very rusty, so I'm going to have a go at seeing if I can figure out the lyrics as we listen through them as well as reviewing the rest of the track. But I can't guarantee I'll get it perfect, so just a word in advance. But anyways, we're going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go.
Hoy me puse a pensar que no puedo controlar todo lo que siento es abnormal. No puedo evitar sentirme así por ti. Me tiro al fuego para que no te olvides de mí. Me tienes enamorado y no lo puedo creer. Las cosas que tú me hiciste no lo ha hecho nadie. Recuerdo cuando nos miramos aquella vez. Todo comenzó en el party, lo llevo a otro nivel. Me tienes enamorado.
I mean, it's like a really catchy hook line. I'm enjoying the melody. I'm trying to figure out if the drums underneath are filtered, so they're going to become a bit more sort of like present in the mix, because the vocals are kind of dominating at the moment. But that's okay, we'll find out soon. I think it's about having like unbelievable feelings, for someone like uncontrollable feelings, just being really passionately into someone, if I'm not mistaken, but we're going to continue anyways. There we go, the drums.
Desde que te conocí, de todas tus amigas solo tú moviste en mí. Las ganas de acercarme, las ganas de besarte. Qué rica energía la que acabo de percibir. Vamos a un lugar donde estemos tú y yo solos, donde podamos hablar y con suerte te enamoro. Tal vez eres para mí, tal vez yo soy para ti. Empecemos una historia que nunca tenga fin. Completamente de ti me enamoré. Mil canciones de amor te dediqué. Escondiste el amor y lo encontré. Mi novia lo logré. En otro lado no lo esperes. El amor y los placeres. Anda, dime si te atreves. Que nos amemos sin niveles. Lo gocé, disfruté. En mi casa pasaste la noche.
Me tienes enamorado.
I mean, like, is this reggaeton? Is this reggaeton? I really hope it is, because I know there's some nuance with that. Otherwise, you just sound really ignorant. But I like the flow of the drums. Very characteristic of the genre, if that is the case. The overall vibe of the theme, the motif behind it, is very chilled out and friendly and upbeat. Like how, not necessarily upbeat. What I mean is, it sounds pleasant and like we're very happy about the situation, but it's a smooth kind of happy. It's a relaxed kind of party vibe, kind of happy about the situation, which is interesting. Because there's like a minor tonality to a lot of those chords there. So it's an interesting combination there, and I'm wondering why I'm perceiving it like that. Phenomenal clean vocals though, really beautiful.
Por más que tengas bebé ya no son capaces. Cuando tenemos problemas arreglamos siendo la casa y hace la gracia. No se acaba, continúa. Te dedico poema, tú sabes que es de una. Yeah. Cuando por la noche caminamos a tu ubicación y bajo la luna. Lista para la acción. No quiere que la lleve yo para su ubicación. Shorty quiere repetir la ocasión. Cuando siente todo mi amor. Tu elegancia, con lo rico que se siente tu fragancia, como no tenerte ansia, si de ti tengo una sed que nunca sacia, adicto a este momento, dale, móvelo lento,
Boom, 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 boom. It's a really pleasant bass line. It's just a really pleasant theme with the bum, 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 the other synth parts on top. It's really dope. Very smooth dynamically.
Recuerdo cuando nos miramos aquella vez. Todo comenzó en el party, lo llevo a otro nivel. Me tienes enamorado y no lo puedo creer. Las cosas que tú me hiciste no lo ha hecho nadie. Recuerdo cuando nos miramos aquella vez. Todo comenzó en el party, lo llevo a otro nivel. No, no. Iman Flow, yeah. Iman Records. Es Atlanta. Para el mundo entero.
Changel el Catracho,
Changel.
junto a Iman Flow. Baby, tú me tienes loco, enamorado. Yeah.
Iman Records.
Sick. Okay. There's a lot of positive stuff I want to say about this. We're going to try to go through the lyrics and then we're going to do the conclusion. So if I was going to have a go at the lyrics and what this track is about, I think that this track is about someone having really immense feelings for someone. I remember reading somewhere where they said they were like addicted to this moment or something like that. I remember When You See Me Another Time at a party that was on another level. Man, I really wish that I knew more Spanish, but I think that it's still really charming. Be my girlfriend? Is that right? Yeah, they just really feel an immense passion for this person that they're discussing. They're completely head over heels in love. And they have really, they have intentions. They have intentions for this person that I assume are positive. With their flow and elegance. Very poetic, actually. I like the amount of attention to detail they talk about. It's very romantic. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from acts Iman Flow and Changel el Catracho, titled Enamorado. Now, what do I think this track is about? I mean, we spoke about it in the lyrics section, where I think it's about them describing their love, their passion, their attraction towards someone that they met at like a party or something like that, talking about how their heart sings for them, or they sing their heart out for them, how they are intoxicated by them and addicted to this moment and everything like that. Just phenomenally into them. It's like a love song. It's very, very romantic and emotionally intense, but it's done in a way where it's also kind of dope to listen to. I think part of what makes this work is that despite, like just how into this person we are, both of the rap musicians within us, both the rappers, they do it in a way where it's very personable. They've got great flow with the rhythm. The words come through clearly. They're polished performers and experienced vocalists. But also, what I enjoy about it is that there's just a demeanor of it, especially at the end with that outro there, and also with the intro. It just seems like they're a commercial grade act. They're so easy to listen to, and it seems authentic when they say it, even with the auto-tune on the chorus parts, which just stylistically, or at least tonally, differentiates from the verse vocal parts. I think that is actually a win, and it makes sense for the genre as well. I think that in addition to the way the vocals are done with the flow there and the way the performance matches the style of song that they're working with, I think we're also successful in the sense that the track, at just over 4 minutes, is really well done. I mean, I think that with a variety of the really compelling chorus sung lines there by a singer who clearly has great vocal technique as well, the clean vocals were on point. It's also that we had enough variety with the vocals, with the different styles and stuff like that, and different takes where we kind of talked or rapped or sung. We could have them as the focal point and allow the theme to kind of sift us through. And it worked well enough that we got to the beyond 4 minute spot. 'Cause usually it's great if tracks are within 2 to 4 minutes, but we got beyond that and it was fine. We had a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, or like a chorus, verse, chorus structure, the ABA, BA, etc. And that's all we really needed. We didn't need, because what I liked about the intro of this track is that we had no drums at all. And then we come in with this kind of filtered drum part with the bass there that sounded a little bit more quiet than the vocals. And that was effective because it engaged me, because I was like, wait, why does it sound like that? Are we building up to something? Oh, and then we did. And that's just really smart musicianship, because you have people who are putting forward music that isn't just the same thing the whole entire time. They're varying the way that you can perceive it. And it just makes it so that you want to hear more of it. And then boom, we're at the end and we've had a satisfying experience. It was fine for me to listen to, even if I didn't necessarily understand the words, simply because of how it was composed and how it was performed. I think if we talk about a few other components within this track, we have that drum line, dun 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 dun, dun, which you can not only dance to, but you can also just nod your head to. It's very satisfying. It's smooth. It just rolls along and loops in a way which is really positive, and you have the doof 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 in a way that kind of leads you back into a new section, and it's kind of predictable in a way, but that is a positive because you don't sit there going, oh no, we've heard this again. It's like, oh, we're going back into the hook. We have a catchy melody there. It's fun to listen to. And then, yeah, the drums were relatively minimalistic, but they still worked well in their favor. I think if we go beyond the drums though, the bass line sounded nice and thick and full and mirrored the chord progressions really well. We had some synth strings or something like that, some plucks there that were going in the background, and they were beautiful, man. They were nice and wide on the sides of the stereo field. And we also had a pad, like a synth pad, that was kind of wispy and kind of a little bit eerie sounding if it was on its own, but it worked well to kind of amalgamate with the plucks and the bass and the drums. We didn't have everything the whole time either, and I think that was definitely a positive thing, because if you have too much of everything constantly, it just becomes dynamically monotonous, and that's clearly not a particularly positive thing. With that said, the motif of the track itself, I remember talking in the review about not necessarily being super sure if it sounded like a positive track in the sense that the chord progressions that we had were minor, but it was so chilled out and relaxed where you could nod your head and have a good time listening to it, but it also was kind of, if you isolate it, by nature of the harmonies and the chord choices, it's just weird that it wasn't sadder than it is. I think part of it that helped was the percussion that was kind of upbeat and energetic. It was like we were sad at this point in time because we couldn't have the person, but we knew we were going to get to them eventually. And maybe it was more of a somber, sultry affair. We were trying to get down to their level and kind of really sort of like caress them emotionally. I'm not sure, but the theme was fascinating because of the way it made me feel in a way that I didn't necessarily expect from the ingredients we put in, but it's still working nonetheless. And I think that's testament to their skill as producers. And I mean that genuinely because, again, it's one of those rare situations where the motif in my head doesn't necessarily match well with the vocals and the story, but it sounds good together regardless. It's a special thing, I think. But it's not that it sounds bad, and just to clarify, I don't think it sounds bad. It's just that it's just a little bit unusual or atypical, but I still think it was a good choice. Finally, the studio recording, mixing and mastering was really well done. I'm really stoked with the way that we put everything together. I think that the vocals had a great presence in the mix, especially at the start where I was almost unsure if they weren't too present. The filtering of the bass and drums in the intro coming into the main part of the track, continuing throughout the rest of it, was solid. We had a good concept of like the automation of the filtering there, how to structure and build things there, and it was satisfying because of that, but also because of the way that the drums and the bass sounded with the synth pads and plucks. The relative minimalism of the arrangement allowed for the instruments to have space in the stereo field and the frequency spectrum where they could notch nicely and surround your headphones and speakers. Things were nicely leveled. The dynamic range of the track was there, but it was relatively constant once we got to that minute. And I think that if we had tried to do another verse or another chorus beyond what we had, it would have been detrimental, because I just think that 4 minutes of the same loudness, even if the vocals are compelling, just wouldn't have worked. So that's why I'm glad that the song was the length it was. I think we found the sweet spot between wanting something that people could sort of dance to and sort of interact with in whichever way they wanted to, but also not over-egging the pudding and oversaturating things or overplaying things. Ultimately, it was nice and loud without pumping, so the limiting compression was handled. In fact, it was very nice and loud without pumping, but it was, again, it sounded commercial grade, but this is effectively my review of this track from acts Iman Flow and Changel el Catracho, titled ENAMORADO, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.